27 of Mound Visit, and I think probably the most action-packed in terms of recent Major League Baseball news that we've got to talk about. The trade deadline has come and gone, and I mean, I think where we could start, because we got it over with first the last episode, we'll get it over with first now. You and I were talking about, for like, it seemed like 5 episodes in a row, what are they going to do with Shohei Ohtani? Well,
they kept him, bro.
They kept him. They took him off the block, and not only
Why wouldn't you? Why
right?
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You'd be dumb. He's hit his 40th jack already.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's a man amongst boys, really.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just,
he's an alien. Yeah, we it's like we've talked about, but not only.
All right, so we got Ohtani out of the way. Let's get that done. Good luck, you Anaheim Angels. Good luck to you. But the rest of the stretch.
It's a bigger conversation because they didn't only keep him, but they added. They got Lucas Giolito. Yeah. They went out and got Ronaldo Lopez in that deal too. I mean, they added. So clearly they're going for it, and I think as a baseball fan, I think we need to applaud that because they didn't just keep Ohtani and stand pat and do nothing. They're like, you know what, we've got this guy for at a minimum 2 more months. The best way to get him back in our clubhouse is to really make a run at this thing and go make it to the freaking playoffs. And I think it's fantastic. I don't know how you feel about what they did. Whether it was a smart move for the organization is one thing, but I love it.
Listen, with the playoffs coming up, I think that would be a team to see if they get real hot. But again, we got the Rangers making some power moves, and just got Verlander back. These top tier organizations, they just recycle, and they get back because guys want to go there. I mean, Verlander waived his no trade clause,
so did
obviously
Scherzer.
For good reason. I mean, so unbelievable stuff. And again, it brings me to the whole debate. Like I said, is do you get an arm or do you get a stick? You can defend a home run. You got to do it with an arm, basically, right? Power arms. And down the stretch, sometimes these 1-2 starters. Look at what Bumgarner was to the Giants, several years back here. He is the reason why the Giants had such a run, man. They were riding his arm, and he was unbelievable to watch. Unbelievable to watch that series.
Yeah, I think you bring up an interesting point, whether it's – I mean, every team has different needs, but I think what we've learned recently within the past, 7-8 years in baseball is that you can never have too much pitching. And it seems really like the team that has the best depth, the most quality depth in arms, whether that be in the bullpen or on the mound, that's usually the team that ends up on top. So, I mean, it was
the Pittsburgh Pirates with the number 1 draft pick again next year. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play the lottery. I'm going to play the lottery so I can buy the Pirates. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm going to win the $1 billion and buy the Pirates. Because you know what? 1979. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We tried 10 years ago. We tried our best. 2013, I bought the ticket only in hopes that the Pirates would change. I still live in Pittsburgh. Frank, I feel your pain, Frank. Feel it. All right, that's enough. That's enough.
God. Wow.
Listen, lottery ticket, Mega Millions. It's I'll take the point. The point, whatever we got, the change, the pocket change of the $1.25 billion. We'll take the pocket change. I might be able to buy my way onto a rotation somewhere if I could help a team. I would love to change 1979. We tried, though. And I think all these other teams are trying.
Wow.
Anaheim hasn't won since 2000 and was it 2?
Yeah.
2002.
Yep.
All right. Yeah,
I'm still recovering from your
Blue Jays,
Fleming,
man.
Your Frank Fleming. Wow, that's tongue. I'm still recovering from that. So.
You didn't think I had that in me today. Mound visit. See, maybe it was Wednesday. We didn't do our show Wednesday or Thursday because you got some things. We'll talk about what top 100's got going on. But we put a pause button on Wednesday. It was just so much going on this week that there's our first Friday show. So that's what you get on a Friday.
Yeah.
Out of me.
Hey, we're
the Mound visit
firing on all cylinders today.
That's right. So sorry to sidebar, but yeah, let's go back to the arms or the bats.
Yeah, I think so. I want to ask you a question because I think at this point, the trade deadline, it was a couple days away, or a couple days ago, excuse me, and everybody knows already which moves were made. If you're listening to this, you're obviously a baseball fan, you know which moves were made. But I wanted to ask you because I thought this was really interesting from a fan's perspective. I want to know what a player is thinking in this situation. So I don't know if you saw the press conferences that both Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer gave after they were traded to.
I saw Verlander's. I didn't see Scherzer's.
So, as a Mets fan, this season was a massive disappointment. There's no
Burn a WBC jersey or nothing. It's not breaking that curse.
No, yeah, there's no parading around that fact. That is this season was a massive disappointment, and we could talk about this more later. I think they did a great job it sucks that they had to sell at the trade deadline. That stinks, but I think they did a fantastic job pivoting and realizing that, we made a mistake. It's not working. Whatever. Let's reset.
Listen, Keith Hernandez and crew in 1986, they are legends for a while.
Yep.
Just like Kent DeCalvey and the Pirates from 1979.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's people here that are legendary, and it's almost like they're going to say on air, oh, we hope that they win. But you know what? Ron Darling and Darryl Strawberry and all those guys, Gary Carter, they're legends in New York until you guys win again. So
that's right.
I get that. But, yeah, no, selling off a lot of stuff, and again, to that point, playing on a last place club like Oakland A's, my boy Jace Peterson got picked up by the Diamondbacks.
Yep.
So I'm happy for him. And you talk about what a player feels. That's what I'm talking about. Even if you're on that is so hard to stay in the mix, stay in the fight when you're hoping to get traded. I had to do that in Atlanta. We won 5 games in April, and we were like, holy cow. And luckily, I got scooped up by the Blue Jays, and that's when I went on a playoff run. So, when people sit there, they say, are these players really trying to ball out? Yeah, you're kind of trying to hope that, hey, if nothing's going right, that board in spring training looks a little bit different at the All-Star break to make these trades, and hopefully you're in position and you've put yourself in position to put yourself with a contender. And some of these guys that have records of doing that, they lost DeGrom in Texas, but they added Scherzer. I mean, holy shit. You talk about going for it.
Yeah.
Power arms down the stretch. Hopefully they can stay healthy, and I'd like to see Texas in it again. I played there, and those fans are dying for a winner down there too. So
yeah,
it'll be an interesting race in that AL West now.
Yeah, you're right. The AL West, I mean, completely reloaded, and they went blow for blow pretty much. I mean, the Angels, they had Lucas Giolito, and then the Rangers had Scherzer, and then the Astros are like, all right, well, we're going to bring Verlander back. So there really are, they're all going for it, which is great to see. But you actually, not to go off on a tangent here, and we can come back to the Scherzer Verlander topic.
We always do, dude. That's what Mound visits are.
Yeah, you're right. But I want to ask you.
A wedding and we need a gift in this, and then fried a chicken. The heck's the chicken.
What about chicken?
The Bull Durham scene.
I was like, what?
Right? There's always segues and sidebars. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. That's what
right.
The show's about.
Yeah, our whole show is that one scene from Bull Durham when they're Yeah. You're right. What are you breathing out of your eyelids again? Yeah.
Everybody. We don't want to just be the Mets show or the Pirates or Blue Jay show. That's why I got 900 jerseys behind me. I collected them all.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned the Rockies are in it. They're not in it.
Yeah. No.
They're not in the fight.
No, the Rockies are kind of a train wreck, unfortunately, right now. But what I want to ask you is when obviously you were traded at a few deadlines. What is that process like? Is the front office having a discussion with you, kind of leading up to it and being like, "Hey, you're a guy that we're looking to move," so that what is that like?
I've never had a no trade clause. I've never been asked. There was a couple of times they were like, "Can we get rid of you fast?" They couldn't get rid of you fast enough.
Oh man.
Yeah, when you're booed out of a city, Detroit booed me out of the city, and it hurt pretty good. But I went to Colorado, which I loved, and pitched great out there. But sometimes, feeling like a fresh start, it rejuvenates a player when you feel. Again, I probably said it a million times before. One of my favorite seasons I had the best abs was when I got traded to the Colorado Rockies. Those guys were coming off a World Series appearance. They were. You talk about keeping a core of players together with Brad Hopp and Tulowitzki and all those guys on that team. I mean, what a roster. They went for it, and a lot of those guys were there the following year. There wasn't a lot of major pieces added except they added me, I guess. They thought I was worthy of getting traded there, and I helped the bullpen. So it was you never know what holes teams are filling in, and some of the unsung heroes that wind up being MVPs in playoff series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Guys get hot. Like David Freese, man. David Freese was, maybe not the greatest 162 game player, but people remember his playoff run. He loved the playoffs. He goes, Grill, I see the ball bigger, and he got freaking worked up for playoffs. Not that he wasn't a good player or played hard. It just he went next level. That adrenaline of what it meant. 162 is a lot,
Yeah.
And to get to those playoffs, which now we're talking these games matter. 3 games out of 10 sometimes.
Big time.
My Blue Jays are playing the Orioles, and they're who are now got the best record in that division in baseball. So, it's a rat race right now, and everybody's pounding each other as best they can. They got to step up because these are the dog days now. That's the other thing. The people who have been in this situation and get through August, it's the toughest month to me of the season because it's almost like your body just kind of you gotta push it a little bit harder. That's why they call them the dog days. But it's pretty awesome,
Yeah.
I'm rocking this Army hat, bro.
There you go. Well, not to get too analytical with it, but I mean, you went from a 3-2 in Detroit, which really wasn't, not bad at all, but then you went down to a 2.93 when you went to Colorado in 08.
Yeah,
so
in Denver, that's not bad.
That's pretty good in Colorado with that high altitude. So
yeah, I gave up one bomb to Giles. Still see it. So you remember the traumatic things. I don't remember how many games I pitched great. I remember I remember throwing that changeup and hung it and go, this is going to go upper deck.
Well,
but yeah, but now I can drink to that while we're talking trades.
Oh,
everybody knows I do the Rock and Ball wine. There's a brewery here,
uh-huh.
and I've been trying to commemorate because 1979. I won't bite my 1979. I would talk to this microbrewery here in downtown Pittsburgh to try to come up with something to get the band back together. I was hoping to get all the guys from the 2013 blackout. 10-year anniversary coming up October 1st, which was a monumental date here in Pittsburgh if you talk to Pittsburgh fans. But they made a commemorative beer, but I told them to do something with Cueto and that whole thing.
Yeah.
They wound up like, hey, can we do something with you? I said, sure. I didn't know. So I got some footage of this coming off the line, saw how they were filling the cans and putting the label and cap it. It was pretty neat, man.
That's awesome. How's it taste?
It's a pretty good, man. It's got some good hops. And, what Stone Cold Steve Austin says. It's pretty good.
Nice.
It's an IPA.
Yeah. As far as our viewers know, it's 5:00 right now as we record this.
Well, I am 21.
That's right.
Again, and I can drink an ice cold adult soda.
That's right.
And, maybe we'll have some there at M&T Bank Park for our top 100.
That's right. Yeah, it's a good time to talk a little bit about that. We're talking about your beer. Grilli and I we might even be able to record a little in-person show coming up next week. We've got the Top 100 experience, which is a great, fantastic opportunity for young baseball players to come to MBT Bank Stadium, the home of the AAA Syracuse Mets. And
that's why we do this, dude. It's really why we do the show. And
Yeah.
then we talk a lot about big league players, but for the viewers at home that want to be, and strive to be, we're trying to keep pace and show them what it feels like, because it gets harder, man.
Yeah.
It gets harder, and I know that the perfect games and the PBRs and all this stuff, everybody's trying to figure out what keeps that edge and gets you to the next level or to be noticed. Because let's face it, the guys that are first-round draft picks, you stand out. You don't really need too many metrics. I think your arm and your bat and your speed, the tangibles that scouts see, they know who they are.
Yep.
But what we do is help that guy keep his uniform on longer. Like I said, getting traded, and now with NIL stuff,
Yep.
right? Colleges, it's like there's free agency in collegiate sports.
Oh, yeah.
And I just had a friend of mine's kid went from Cal all the way to Division I in baseball, and he transferred to Gannon University right here in Erie, PA. And go not where you want to go where you can play.
Yep.
Right? And that goes even for a big leaguer. Go sign. If you're a free agent, you want to sign where you're going to be valued. Go where you're valued. And, I think, too, even with trades that we're talking about, you go where you're valued, man. And that's what – sometimes you have a choice, sometimes you don't. Your top-tier player, like some of the guys we mentioned, they can waive those clauses. Sure, I'll go back there, and those guys, I'm sure, are involved with their agents talking about, hey, man, I'd like to go back here and there. But for these kids, it's now, hey, I'm not going to sit the bench and waste my eligibility somewhere when I got a shot. If I have a chance to pursue and develop, they got to get their reps in.
Yeah.
And right now, we're trying to instill that in these kids. Right now, I'm doing it with my own sons. We're coming up to Syracuse, man. Got to get my dad's chicken wings.
Yeah, I think that might be a good place for a show. We do it at the old Change of Pace.
Just a mound of wings and talking some shop about what we're doing. But I think, Case, if I'm not good looking enough and you need another co-host for Mound Visit, you get somebody. Not even Justin. Justin's out. I'm gonna take a page out of
Justin's hair is looking pretty stellar though.
Yeah, he's locked it in. He's not ripping it out anymore.
No, like he used to kind of do the. I mean, you guys have seen like in the early episodes of Mound Visit, like it was kind of like a half mohawk, a little bit up top, like the spike.
Yeah,
but he's got the comb over now. I mean,
wow. He's covering up some light areas, some divots.
He's still got it going on though. The hair. I mean, yeah. Mine's getting a little long. Like I got my flow coming out of the back here now.
Yeah. You got good flow, dude. Thick hair. I got some stress marks I'm still filling in.
So I got the hat.
Using specialty shampoos.
Oh man. All right. Well, before we talk about hair more, I'll run it back.
We're getting away from the real topic.
That might have been our longest tangent ever, but let's. I want to ask you because you mentioned, speaking of, some players, and you talked about no trade clauses, and players talk to their agents about where they want to go and what they want to do, and this is why this situation was so interesting to me, going back to Verlander and Scherzer, because both of them. Scherzer, we know that he did because, and this is what the question that I wanted to ask you was, he talked to the media the day after he got traded. He talked to Ken Rosenthal, and then as he got into Texas, he had his first media session there and told the media basically that he had a conversation with the Mets front office and that the Mets plan to, not necessarily go as heavy after all of the free agents in this upcoming class, and they choose to focus more on that big spending come 2025, 2026. And for Max Scherzer, he's 40, he's going to be 40 years old. He probably doesn't want to, he wants to make sure that the team that he's on for the last few years of his career is a team that's going to be in a playoff race, which I totally understand. But where I was a little bit, I guess it rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, the way that he went about talking about this to the media, because the way that it came across was he was more or less criticizing the moves that the Mets made, and that, they're going to punt on the season. This is, they aren't committed to building a winner. And he didn't say that, but the way that it came across was that to me. And then you look at Justin Verlander, over in Houston when he gets there, and they asked him about what's the Mets' vision, all of this, and he said, "Look, you know."
Well, yeah, but this is why maybe let me interject.
Yeah, go ahead.
That, it could be a feeling of, hey, I signed here long term. You led me to believe, no different than the fans, that as a player, like I'm committing a long
Sure.
time of my tenure. He's got family. When you make those kind of moves, I think people tend to forget like that there is a personal side. Like I always try to
Sure.
bring to light here, and the disappointment of, hey, if I'm going to lock into New York and be here and get comfortable here, you don't want to move around.
Yeah.
Truthfully, as a player, you're like, I don't want to move around here. Yes, I want to win, but he signed there for a reason,
Right.
right? Signed up there, made that commitment, and that decision. When you make that decision as a player, when you have those rights, and you say, "Man, I got these teams vying for me. This is where I want to go. They're telling me these moves." So yeah, if he's coming off a little bit differently, if Verlander is being diplomatic about it, not wanting to burn the bridge. Scherzer, I think, has a leg to stand on. He's a Cy Young Hall of Fame type guy, and to sit there and say, man, I wasn't happy with this or that, he probably has good reason to say it, and not that you want to come off as belligerent or anything to
Sure.
anyone or to even the organizations that's paying you exuberant money, but again, to a player sometimes that already has money, he wants to win because here's the
Right.
5 steps. The 5 steps: you want to get drafted, you want to be an everyday player, you want to sign that long-term contract, and then the last thing you want to do is you want to win.
Right.
You got to get there and win, and so
Well, to jump back in, and I totally understand what you're saying, and I get where he's coming from, and he did say, he said, I liked it in New York, and I'm sure he did, but the thing is, where I see this is, the Mets were paying him $43 million a year to be, it's incredible, yeah, which is another, a whole nother conversation. But I mean, last year, up until his last 2 starts of the season, he was phenomenal. I mean, he had a 2.22 ERA or 2.4 or whatever. It doesn't matter. He was incredible. But then you look at this year, he had a 4 ERA. He's making 40. I mean, and for him to come out and more or less seemingly criticize the way that the Mets are choosing to go about this rubbed me the wrong way because, in a sense, like, he is part of the reason that the Mets are in the situation they're in now. He did not pitch well, and in seemingly every game that we needed him. So, like, and I know that he took,
Yeah, but the air, see, and I'm not a Mets fan. I don't follow it as close as you do. The air is thick there.
Yeah,
the air is so thick there. And when you play in New York, it's heavy. And if it's good, boy, everybody loves you. When it's thick and bad, that's where you get all this criticism and scrutiny. And that weighs on a player. That weighs down a player big time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't blame him for feeling and speaking out in the sense that, you can't tell people what to feel or how to think or whatever. But if he goes there and pitches well, then it's to my point. Maybe there is a lot more stigma there that, he was willing to deal with or, stuff that he couldn't control. And that carries over to your performance sometimes. When you feel good, they always say, look good, feel good, play good.
Yeah, of course.
Right? That's why guys get haircuts and they're always trying to swag out and elevate and do all this stuff because there's always this keeping on point, the intensity and the adrenaline. And if he lost a little bit of that and now picks it up, I mean, he got off to a kind of a slow start. I think he gave up a few runs in the first inning or whatever.
Yeah, 3 runs.
And stayed through it and dealt like he's capable of dealing. So, again, a lot of things play into that, Case. And I'm not going to defend them either way, but guys are out there. Like you said, it's intense, and people want to win. Especially the guys like that. You sit there and go, you get a taste of it. He's got one ring, got a chance for another one. Mm-hmm. You want to rack up as many of those as you can.
Well, I'm glad, I got that perspective. That's why I wanted to ask you, because I wanted to get a perspective of someone who has been in situations similar to that. It's mostly the question that I wanted to ask was like, did you have a problem with him saying, talking about the conversations that he had with the Mets front office to the media, because it didn't seem like Verlander or any of the other players. All they said was, "I really enjoyed my time in New York. I would recommend this this organization to anyone else who would want to sign here." But it seemed Scherzer was the only guy who said,
"Hey man, there's nothing wrong with being outspoken."
Sure, okay.
You know, if being provoked and asked the same question, it's not always sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
You know what I mean? If, like I said, yeah, he's making $43 million, and people are going to say, well, he didn't pitch good. But there could be other things that we don't know about.
Sure.
You know, and that doesn't always come out in the forefront, and it shouldn't. Like, there's things that happen in the clubhouse or on the field or just that air of whatever, and then they're expecting somebody. It's like, even on a player to carry that weight, was it all on him? No.
Sure.
Hold that. Can we pause for station identification? My dog is scratching
absolutely.
at the door. We've spiced it.
Yeah, absolutely. As we pause for station identification here, I'll keep everyone up to date as we tend to Glover, Grilli's dog. But yeah, this is the ramblings of a New York Mets fan. Now that we got Grilli back in the fold, it's good to get. I like getting that perspective because I think I'm in this bubble with, I'm on Twitter and all these Mets fans, and I've got all my buddies I've got a bunch of buddies who are Mets fans, and we talk to each other about this thing, obviously, and a lot of us were just kind of like, what are you doing? Why are you airing this out? But I don't know. I don't know. That was just at least the perspective of a fan, and I'm sure you get the same question multiple times.
There's so much that happens behind the scenes. That, it's when you go to your favorite restaurant and it's like, man, I had just the steak here is always good, and it just wasn't tonight, or whatever the feels was. I don't know. Maybe the cook was having a bad day. Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Like we dehumanize. And the expectations in any relationship, right? Whether it's business relationship, whether it's an expectation,
sure.
Like, the Mets went out and got all this, and this, you were probably like, had chills, like, oh my God, we're gonna be in the fight this year with all this, right? And to sit here and say, so you had an expectation, the organization let you down, so now it all comes out. Now the emotion comes out. I mean, no different than a player. I mean, think about being in the dang uniform. You're in the damn uniform going like, yes, we're going to win. I went to the World Series in 2006. We got Cabrera and Dontrell Willis. I thought we were going back automatically just because we added to the equation. It wasn't the case. So to show how hard it is, baseball is so hard, and it's the greatest game because it exemplifies life. Like, you have all these expectations, but it doesn't always work out the way you did. The way things jive and the way guys it all has to align. Yeah. And that's like in life, man. You could sit there and put forth your best effort and still not get the results you're hoping for, get that promotion, get that girl, whatever, the car you wanted, someone stole it from you. It was on the car lot and they beat you to the punch because you didn't pull the trigger. Yeah. Listen, man. Life is that way, and we do this. We micromanage this from afar, give all these opinions about, well, he's not pitching good. Dude, I don't know. Maybe his dog is sick and keeping him up at night, or maybe his wife doesn't like him right now. I don't know, right? There's a lot of things that we don't know.
Yeah, sure, right.
We scrutinize, he's pitching bad. Well, all right, he's human.
Yeah,
or he's not hitting right. And another trade that Derek Jeter was pulling for was the Soto trade, but he stayed. We traded some of our guys here in Pittsburgh to San Diego. So, yeah, man, it's incredible. This reality TV show that I always call it, that we watch every day, and we get involved in the players' lives somehow from afar, behind the desk, sitting on the couch. The game gets slower, gets easier, and we're sitting there opinionated about, like, we know what's going on, and there's so many things on the inside, but yet if they win, I love the saying when fans go, oh, we won tonight, oh, they lost, they don't want to ever identify with I always
say we lost. And everybody, like, I like talking to people who are not sports fans in my life are always like, you didn't lose anything. Like, you don't need to be this upset about it. And I'm like, you guys, you don't understand. Like, this is every,
My life.
I live and die with my teams. So but it brings up another, the last topic I want to talk to you about, because the entire conversation about the expanded playoffs, I think for me, fully came into light during this trade deadline, because you had, those teams on the fringe. You saw both sides of the spectrum for me, because you had teams like the Angels, like the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, some teams who are, maybe not necessarily World Series contenders, but, are a couple pieces away from getting into one of those final 2 wild card spots. And
Hey, man,
hoping
no one had the Phillies going to the World Series last year.
exactly,
right?
and that's the thing. I
No
think
one had the Phillies going, and they got hot. And I always
Right.
say, people are going to, okay, so let's pick 12 teams. You can sit there and play
Yeah.
the immaculate playoff spot here, right? Who's going to win? Whoever plays the best. It's not always the best
of
team that
course.
wins on paper, right?
Yeah.
People go hot and cold, and it's like, hey, man, we're on, what game number are we on, 120 something?
Yeah,
Maybe?
something like that. Yeah. But that's the thing.
so-
Everybody wants to be the 2022 Phillies or the 2021 Braves, who, made it in by the skin of their teeth, got hot at the right time, and rode it all the way to, in the Braves sense, a World Series championship, and in the Phillies, they made it to the World Series. But then, for me, on the other side of that, you have teams like the Guardians, who were 2 games out of a division, out of leading the AL Central, and they sold. And then you've got a team like the Minnesota Twins, who's able to be in command of the AL Central, and they did nothing. And to me, that was almost like, that was worse than set, because it's like,
Well, maybe there's something in their little formulas now. These people are in the front office smarter than we are. But that's the disappointing thing.
right.
As a player, you're sitting there and you believe, like, you're hoping. I remember I thanked Bob Nutting for going out and getting John Buck, Marlon Byrd, and Justin Marneau. I literally saw him walking. I was like, Bob, thanks for giving me an opportunity to win.
Yeah.
And it was like, whether those were the pieces that were the key pieces, there were pieces that were added to give it at least an opportunity.
Sure.
And obviously not just him, but the front office tried to compile something to make the team better and show an effort. I think that's what everybody wants, whether you're a player, whether you're a fan. The front office, you don't really know if it's a this year, next year, or 3 years from now project.
Sure.
How they're projecting this and how they're stratomatically doing that, I don't know. I don't have privy to that software that they now probably have that plays stratomatic baseball with real lives.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's interesting, because it seems to me like there are a lot of teams that are content with either just coasting into the playoffs and not really, going the extra mile to put, a product on the field that's capable of winning a World Series.
yeah, but
I
here's
don't
the
know-
thing. Here's the thing, Case.
Yeah.
If you're a player,
Yeah,
right, you got to pull your weight.
sure.
Like, okay, I'm a big Blue Jays fan.
Yeah.
They pulled off. Bo Bichette got injured. They made it.
Yeah.
They got DeJong,
Yeah.
really good shortstop to fill in the void there. To make a blockbuster deal, listen, they got enough there that they feel like, hey, man, these guys should be able to win. They were in the playoffs last year.
Sure.
You're expected to win. When you're in the big leagues, your goal is to win. So
Right.
pull your weight. If you're 2 or 3 games, like you said, you're hovering around a spot. You don't like where you're at, you got to play better. And when you get hot, man, sometimes it's that thing. Maybe it's that team dinner. Maybe it's that something funny in the clubhouse. It's really comes to, and a lot of people don't like this word. I know they throw it around lightly, but it's true. Team chemistry, right? The guys at the end, when they're sitting there praying champagne over each other, man, what do they say? We all had a good group of guys.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be around each other and they wanted to pull the rope and win for each other. You play for your teammates.
Yeah.
Really, at the end of the day, I know there's fans out there, and the fans add to the adrenaline push and get you through, because it's no fun playing in front of nobody. I can't imagine playing through COVID. I would have been like, I got zero adrenaline for that. Nobody in the stands. But I said, really, truthfully, is you play for each other, because when you let your teammates down, you let your city down,
Yeah.
and you just have to answer to that question, like, hey, why'd you make that pitch, or why did you make that play, or how did you miss that?
Yeah.
You're so good at that, and it didn't come through today. That's hard, man. It's very humbling, and the expectation is to win, whether it's in spring training, the All-Star break, or especially the talks right now. This last 6 weeks of baseball or whatever it is left, to me, is you got to pull your weight. And you know what? Time to step up. This is when, like I said, I'll use David Freese again. Start seeing the ball bigger. If you want to be in that playoff spot, there's money and there's a big shiny hood ornament that you get to put on your finger, right? And some of these damn things now have LED lights that light up like a Christmas tree
Yeah.
to show all your friends and family. So, to me, it's like at the end of the day, all these guys are making bukus of money. Check, right? You sign that big deal. I've left that out of the thing. You make that big contract, and then you win. You want to win, and sometimes a few of these guys get it in a different order. But I tell you what, man, when you get a taste of that, whether you're traded or not, you play for the jersey, you play for the guys in the team that you're jamming with, and hopefully, like I said, something magical happens. And this is the good time of the year where people are glued. They may not watch. I haven't watched a lot of baseball this summer because I've been watching my own kids. Moreover, but I do love watching playoff baseball. It's a different feeling. It's like WBC. Rewind back to spring training. That intensity gets a little bit, I think, muted during the season because it's a long season.
Sure.
Not that every game isn't played hard, but you're riding the wave. Like I said, the Scherzer who's got the 4 instead of the 2 ERA like he typically has. You don't know, but you know what? Now he's playing for a contender. Let's see what he does. Let's see what these guys do. That's like that adrenaline high of like, oh my God, I'm in it, and I don't want to let my team down. That's what starts happening this time of year.
That's a great point. And I wasn't questioning, before that. It wasn't the players not wanting to win. Wasn't what I more so meant. I don't know how many. I think there are certain front offices and ownerships that are just happy with, hey, we got to the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I think and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, yes, more teams in the playoffs, sure, but are more teams going all in to really try and win a World Series?
Well, I wish that we had the money that the Mets spent.
Yeah.
Here in Pittsburgh to see what goes on here.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the playoff contender, why wouldn't you want to keep building after there was a 2013 and 2015 team that did go here, but then to embark on, hey, we're just dishing out players left and right. You want them here, take them. We'll just take more prospects and rebuild. And it's like every year people go, well, we're in the rebuild mode. Well, how long does that happen? Because 1979, 2013, 2015, that's passed up. We're talking about the past. We're not talking about right now. And I know this is a sports town, and any town that has a major league team to cheer for, this is where you sit there and go, hey, man, are we really in it? And the low market teams,
yep,
they're always adding to the teams that really do want to win, and it's usually the top, I don't know, 10. Consider it 10 teams, a third of the league is really the teams that are the big market teams that have the money that really do go for it. And it's usually the same. It's just usually the same clubs. It's a shame because they want to do competitive balance and all that. I don't know. It gets a little bit confusing to me, just about how the game is played, let alone on the field, but moreover now with how organizations try to structure and are pulling pieces and holding on and valuing pieces. It's a game that I don't even recognize, but I do love it and respect it, man. And I hope these guys hang on because it's not easy getting traded mid-season moving. It's one of the top stresses on for human beings and to move all the time. I mean, you make 2 or 3 moves and sometimes 4 if you get traded in the season. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's something that the general public that can't comprehend really unless you've been in those shoes. So it's good insight to have. I want to ask before we close out the episode, what to end on a lighter note, was there a favorite move that you had? Was there one that stood out to you that you think, hey, this is really one that I could see getting this team, over the hump, or, getting them in the position to get hot at the right time and make that run. What was that move for you?
Listen, man, I watched the Blue Jays more than anybody, and seeing Bo Bichette go down and seeing a piece added, but what scares me is what the Orioles did. They got better.
Flaherty.
Adding the power arm with Flaherty. So, what was the move? I think that was a big move, and watching how he stepped up in the first game, and I just read the article about how his demeanor was taken note. He didn't really talk to anybody, didn't fool around. He came in all business, because there you go. It's like, you talk about a player coming in serious to win. I'll meet you guys later. You got me here to do a job.
Yeah.
I want to add to the team I'm playing for with you guys, and now I'll go have a beer with you, and we'll get into that mix. But I want to show you that I'm showing up for you guys. I thought that said a lot, and I hate to say that because the Orioles are in my favorite division with my Jays. So I'm just hoping we can keep pace. The Jays are right under the cusp for a wild card berth. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun finish, man. And speaking of finish, this is a good one. If you come to Pittsburgh, I'll bring you some, dude. I'm gonna bring some cases on this nice IPA.
Beautiful.
And they collaborated, as I said here, which I didn't even really do much of anything. I just told them, hey, make a commemorative beer for 2013, and this is what they came up with. I had no say, didn't even understand it. It was a big surprise. So
that's awesome.
They're keeping me relevant here in black and gold, man. So I'll bring some of Pittsburgh to you so we can have some with those wings. But
yeah,
great mound visit, man. I'm burping into the microphone.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic mound visit. And to end off on your point, when you talked about, guys getting that extra shot of adrenaline, Flaherty's, his average velocity wasn't sitting anywhere, higher than around 92, 93. He was pumping 97 in the first inning of that game with the Orioles.
There you go.
Awesome stuff to see.
Frank, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry to end it with, imitation's the highest form of flattery. I'm following you on there, so not
That's
making
right.
fun of. I feel your pain, and hopefully one day he'll buy that brick out in front and be happy that he did.
Yep. Shout out, Frank. And thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 27 of Mound Visit. You can check us out on YouTube if you want to watch. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you know the deal. And hit us up on social media and let us know anything you guys are thinking and wondering, and we'll address it.
We'll get you through the drive. We'll get you through a long drive.
That's right.
Maybe just even catch 5 minutes. I don't know, but good mound visit, Case.
Absolutely.
Cheers to you, bro.